You ever look at a bunch of numbers, like test scores or maybe house prices in your neighborhood, and your eyes just kind of glaze over? It's just a jumble of data. How in the world do you make any sense of it all?
Yeah, that's the big question, right? We need a way to take all that complexity and just boil it down to one single, meaningful number, something that gives us a real sense of the center. But what's the best way to actually find it?
Well, today we're going to meet three different characters, if you will, that all try to answer that question. Each one has its own personality, its own strengths, and its own weaknesses. These are the big three: the mean, the median, and the mode. And by the time we're done here, you'll know exactly which one to use and when.
So let's kick things off with the one we all remember from school, the mean. You probably just call it the average, and that's pretty much what it is. It's the classic, the go-to, the real workhorse of statistics.
Now, the official definition is simple, but I want you to think about it in a cooler way. The mean is like the data's center of gravity. Seriously, imagine all your numbers are little weights sitting on a seesaw. The mean is that one perfect spot where you could put the fulcrum to make the whole thing balance perfectly.
Let's make this super real. Say we ask 5 students how many cups of coffee they drink in a week. And we get back these numbers: 21, 25, 10, 8, and 11. Okay, so first step, you just add them all up. That gives us 75. Then, you just divide by how many students we asked, which was 5.
And boom, there you have it, 15. So on average, a student in this group drinks 15 cups of coffee a week. Seems simple, right? It feels clean, it feels right. But, and this is a big but, the mean has a secret, kind of fatal flaw.
And this is so important to understand. An outlier is just an extreme number, one that's way, way higher or way lower than everything else. And the mean, well, it lets those outliers push it around. Just think about it for a second. What if one of our students was, I don't know, a super caffeinated programmer who drank 100 cups of coffee a week? Suddenly, our average would shoot way, way up. It wouldn't really represent a typical student anymore. That one single outlier would totally skew the picture. And that is exactly why we need our next tool.
Okay, so to deal with those pesky outliers, let's bring in our second hero, the median. If the mean is the delicate balancing point, the median is the solid, unshakable rock right in the dead center of your data. It is our absolute best defense against those extreme values.
The whole idea is just beautiful in its simplicity. The median literally splits your data perfectly in two. Exactly half of your numbers are smaller than the median, and exactly half are bigger. It's the true middle ground.
And getting to it? Super easy. First, you just line up all your numbers from smallest to largest. If you have an odd number of values, hey, the median is literally the one sitting in the middle. If you have an even number of values, no problem. You just grab the two in the middle, add them up, and divide by 2.
And here it is. This is its superpower.
Remember our programmer with 100 cups of coffee? The median barely even blinks because it only cares about what's in the middle position. That crazy high number has almost no effect. This gives us a much more stable and, frankly, realistic picture when our data isn't perfect.
All right, time for our third and final character, the mode. So, if the mean is the balance point and the median is the middle point, the mode is simply the most popular kid in the class. You can think of it as the people's choice.
In the definition, well, it couldn't be simpler. The mode is just the value that shows up more than any other in your dataset. That's it. It's the most common, the most typical result.
Now, the mode also has this special trick up its sleeve that the others can't do. For example, if we ask a bunch of managers what brand of car they drive, you can't calculate the average car, right? That makes no sense. But you can easily find the mode. In this case, 25 people said BMW, more than any other brand. So BMW is our mode.
So, let's recap the pros and cons real quick. The mode is amazing because it works with non-numerical things like car brands or favorite foods. Plus, unlike the mean, it's always a value that's actually in your data. The downside, it totally ignores every other number except for the most frequent one. And a fun little tidbit, you can totally have more than one mode in a dataset.
Okay, so we've met our 3 contenders, we know what they do. Now it's time for the main event. Let's put them all to the test on the exact same set of numbers and see what different stories they tell us.
All right, here's our new battleground, the scores of 10 students on a statistics exam. As you can see, the scores are all over the place, from a low of 4
all the way up to a perfect 20. Let's unleash our 3 tools and see what they find out.
First in the ring, the mean. We add up all 10 scores, divide by 10, and we get a class average of 11. So that's the center of gravity for the group's performance.
Next up, the median. Now, since we have 10 scores, we look at the 2 middle ones, which are 9 and 12, and we average them. That gives us 10.5. Okay, so pretty close to the mean of 11. That tells us the data is fairly balanced, probably no huge outliers here. But what about our third measure? And now, the mode. Whoa, look at that. It's 5. See how different that is? This tells a completely different story. The single most common score was a 5. This suggests there was a group of students who really struggled with this test, a super important detail that both the mean and the median completely missed.
So here's the bottom line, the thing you absolutely need to remember. There is no single best one. It all comes down to your data and what question you're trying to answer. You want to use the mean when your data is pretty clean and symmetrical. You go for the median when you suspect you have outliers that could mess things up, like with salaries or home prices. And you use the mode when you want to find the most popular option, or when you're dealing with stuff that isn't numbers at all.
And that's really our big takeaway today. The word average can be super misleading, but now you have the tools to see past it. The next time you see a news report or an article that talks about the average anything, you can stop and ask yourself, wait a minute, are they talking about the mean, the median, or the mode? Because as we've just seen, the answer can tell a very different story.